All right, July 4th coming up, Merca. I got something for all you vegan, plant-based, or if you just want to try something a little different this year. This one's going to be about beet burgers. I'm not vegan, but I think this is kind of one of the things that turns me off from conventional veganism, how a lot of the food is processed. So this is where this beet burger really comes into play because you're getting enough protein and it's all just whole foods, things you can get in the grocery store. I feel like a lot of these impossible meats and all of those other pseudo meats are either like pure gluten or some kind of soy isolate or just heavily processed. And that's, not really what we're about here, about this much. Full recipe is in my digital cookbook. You can grab that in the link below or just visit my website. But this is a list of what you're gonna need for this recipe. And the most important things here are the base. You definitely want, obviously, beets. Mushrooms are gonna help bring a little bit more flavor. And then I also think adding the quinoa and the beans are gonna give it some more texture while also being a pretty good source of protein. And I don't care if you're a vegan or a pescatarian or a carbivore, your body needs some protein. So the most important thing, you're gonna hear it a lot from me, always wash your veggies. I gave this a quick scrub with some water. And then I'm gonna peel my beets. You don't have to, but these are raw. So I just, sometimes the outside gets a little icky. Try not to use pre-cooked beets because the moisture is gonna turn these patties very mushy. This is all gonna go in your food processor, so it doesn't really matter the exact size you have anything. I'm just kind of roughly chopping it so nothing gets stuck while it's blending together. And I think you can really make this your own. So I have garlic, I have some thyme. You can throw in some onions if you want. You can make it a little bit spicier, but I feel like just keeping it a traditional, basic, flavorful patty. I think beets go very well with thyme. It's gonna give you that base flavor, and then you can really customize your burger with the toppings. And before I keep going, I just wanna say I don't understand what that obsession was a while ago. I don't know if it's still happening, but how all of these pseudo meats had to bleed to be like meat. I just found that a little weird because I don't think anyone who really likes burgers or steak, I don't think they like it because of the blood. Like that's just, I don't know. I could be weird for even pointing that out, but it's just, I find that odd. And I think that in trying to mimic the bleeding of meat, they go through all of this crazy processing that's just unnecessary. You can get great flavor, great texture with just using basic ingredients. Yeah, it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be pretty good. So when you're using your food processor, it's really up to you. I kind of want a good balance between like a sticky paste so everything holds together, but I still like to have some chunks in there. So it's up to you to layer this how you want. Obviously, the things you start to blend first are gonna be the finer parts of it. So I do like to have a few little bits of like the quinoa on there. I feel like it adds a little bit more depth and makes it a little more interesting. So that's why I threw that in at the end. But if you're trying to do this as quick as possible, just throw this all into the food processor at the same time. Don't overload it because it's not gonna mix well. Try not to over mix this because you're really just gonna end up with a mushy blob and that's not gonna be any good. But once you're done and you have a texture that you like, that's where you can take this out and start to form patties. So this is where it gets a little bit complicated. I'm gonna grill these later and I'll do another video, but for now, because I'm at home, your options for cooking it are you can bake it or you can do it on like a skillet. I'm gonna do a skillet. I just kind of prefer, I think it's a little quicker and I just kind of like that little crust layer you get. If you're gonna bake it, you don't have to worry as much about how well it holds together, but definitely for the grill and definitely for the skillet, you want it to be as solid as possible. So I'm actually gonna throw this into the freezer after I form my patties while I prepare the rest of this. You can kind of just do this the day before and toss them on the grill when you're ready. Just make sure you have something between each patty. That way they don't, get stuck together. So if you are gonna bake these, I feel like you can get away with about 30 minutes or so, flip it halfway through. And you don't have to worry so much about letting these solidify. You can just toss them into the oven and they should keep a nice shape. Regardless, this whole thing is just me telling you, be delicate with it. It's not a real burger patty, so it's not gonna hold together the exact same way. If you are gluten-free or grain-free, I'm sure you probably have some kind of bread that you enjoy, or maybe you just want to throw this on top of some greens, which is great. I think there's a lot of really good breads out there, but a lot of them are also pretty expensive. So I'm just gonna make this cassava flatbread. It's also in my digital cookbook, so you can find that recipe below, but it's essentially just cassava flour with a little bit of seasoning and some water, a little bit of oil. I also threw in a little bit of almond flour. I feel like that gives it a little extra not crunch, but you know what I mean, right? This works. And so the trick here, again, this is why you should just go get the book, because I don't like to measure things myself. I kind of feel it out. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding little bits of water at a time and looking to get a dough that doesn't crack as soon as you apply any pressure to it. If it cracks, it's probably too dry. It's not gonna cook that well, but you want it just beyond that point. And of course, it's gonna take practice, but you can always just add a little bit more flour if you put in too much water, so it's not that big of a deal. I like doing this in the skillet. A little trick I found is add some oil. I'm using avocado oil, and you place your flatbread down. Again, be delicate. There's no gluten in here, so it's not gonna hold together like a roti or just another flatbread or a pizza dough would. And I let it cook just a little bit before I do anything, give it a quick flip. So now there's some of that oil that was on the bottom on the top, and then I can use the spatula to press it down and really flatten it out and make sure all of the parts of it cook evenly. Because if you don't do this, it doesn't look too good, I feel like. Flip it on both sides. You can keep going back and forth until you get a nice golden crust on it. I already have this on the side, but I like to make a cashew cheese also in the digital cookbook. This is something I always just kind of keep around. It's essentially cashews, nutritional yeast, and then you kind of customize the flavoring you want, or if you want a powder versus a more liquidy nacho cheese type thing. For the burger, I'm doing more of a cheese sauce, and let's get to the assembly. So I know how burgers are done, but I feel like I have to say, like, okay, I don't have a diagram here, I'll just use myself. But your taste buds, they're on your tongue, right? They're on the bottom of your mouth, not the top of your mouth. So I feel like all of those little add-ons that you add should be on the bottom of the burger, so that way you get nice flavorful bites with every bite, like almost instantly. So I just threw in onions, a little arugula. Pro tip, you should always have some greens in the house. I love sauces, so I'm never too shy with them, adding a little bit more on top. There's your burger. And you might be asking, why didn't make these a lot bigger? Because we don't have a traditional binder, we're trying to keep this just as whole food as possible. These patties are softer and they will squish out to the sides a little. So if the patty's too big, you're gonna just spend your whole time with beets all over your face. So I prefer to keep it a little bit smaller, so that way when it does squish, you don't lose anything in the burger. And that's it. Super simple. Happy 4th of July. I hope I got this to you in time for you to maybe actually try it out for Friday. Keep a lookout. I'll also post another little video of the result live so you can see how they look when you actually grill them. Full recipe, the breakdown and ingredients, instructions, all of that, digital cookbook. Actually, I'll show you. I just want to show it to you because I feel like I've seen a lot of crappy cookbooks out there, and I just want you to know I put in the effort to make sure this is good for you. See, there's the beets, page 94, or actually 95. And yeah, like you got your ingredients, instructions, a few little details. So grab your copy.